Hello, and welcome to the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast, where I host candid conversations for the curious. I'm your host, Kelly Meyerson, the original Mystic Nerd. And this evening, I am joined by the lovely Mary LaSita. Mary is a mom, wife, and lifelong learner with a passion for living toxic-free. As a retired teacher and librarian for over 30 years, she learned that connecting with people with quality information is powerful. And she wants to continue to teach others how to become informed consumers so they may make healthy choices for their families. You had me at informed consumers. Don't we need that today? So welcome, Mary. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So I'm totally ready to nerd out on this topic with you because I know, like me, you have just entered into this life of detoxifying and making better choices for your personal care, for how you clean your house. But take us back to the beginning. What was the moment that changed everything for you?
I was working full time in a high school, very early hours, getting very little sleep. Mom of three, two teenagers at the time, two girls that were in high school, and my son was in middle school when I received an invitation for an at-home party. And I just remember getting the invitation and seeing something about there might be dangers lurking in your house, something about cleaning. And I went blah, blah, blah as I'm reading the invite. And I saw have a glass of wine with your friends. And I said, I'm in. I
Glass
needed
of wine, I'm in.
I needed a girls' night out. So
Nice.
I went to my friend's house and I didn't realize it was going to be an at-home party for a topic that I had never, ever thought about before. And it was how to become an ingredient detective and how to flip your bottles of your personal care products or your cleaning products around and to read the ingredients list. Now, I had been doing that for years with my food. I could tell you the sugar, I could tell you the fats, I could tell you things like, natural spices stay away from because those are, hidden dangers in your food list. Never once did I ever consider my shampoo, my conditioner, my glass cleaner, things like that.
Yeah.
Mom of three. So imagine the bottles and jars that I have brought into my home.
Yeah. So I'm sure you were like me, and all of a sudden you're like diving into the cabinets and pulling everything out and going, wait, can't use this anymore. Can't use this anymore.
That
Can't
was
use this anymore.
exactly what happened. The next day, my husband, actually, I went home with like a little pamphlet of ingredients, 16 ingredients to avoid. And I mean, I was, are we allowed to say store names on here? Is it okay?
I mean, if they come after us, I'll be like, hey, you checked out our podcast? I think you can.
We were at Trader Joe's about 20 minutes away. I would say 80% of my shopping was done there. And there's a Whole Foods. We have Wild by Nature where I am. And so I thought I was going to these wholesome, all natural stores. But again, it was just an area that I just never, ever thought about.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised.
Yeah. And I remember when I first started doing this, the start for me was that I became gluten-free due to food allergies. And so I, like you, got really good with my food and reading labels and still having symptoms that I had with, having gluten in food. And I don't recall exactly who told me, but somebody was like, listen, if you are allergic to gluten and you can't put it in your body and eat it, you cannot put it on your skin. Right. And I was like, oh, so I started looking at my labels and lo and behold, there's gluten in shampoo and conditioner and soaps and all of these other hidden places I hadn't learned. But, even at that point, I hadn't yet gotten to the point that you're talking about, where you start looking at those 16
Mhm.
things that are lurking in products that have all sorts of negative side effects. So, for somebody who has, just always purchased whatever was on sale on the shelf, like what are some of the things that might be lurking in their products, and why do we care? Like, why is it a big deal for us? What does it mean that it has toxic nature to it?
Well, the biggest thing I think for me with having teenage daughters was when I learned that it can affect your endocrine system.
Mm,
That was huge. And you can joke about people being hormonal or being cranky, but when you've got two teenage girls living in your house and you're trying to run out the door at 6:30 in the morning, if you can do anything that can balance that out, and that's just the whole thing. It's not, it's ditching and switching for better and healthier ingredients. um,
yeah,
and when you start seeing, when you do these things and you start seeing success with them, or my son who has an allergy, um, he when his eczema started to feel better, just from swapping out my laundry powder. Like, when you can
mm,
directly correlate, right, when you swap something out, well, for me that was just huge.
yeah.
But the funny thing is I'm also really frugal. So I decided to order shampoo and conditioner, right? Because I thought, well, what's something that would directly go onto my skin, right? And that would have a big effect. And so I said, well, let me start with the shampoo and the conditioner. And then I was going to wait and, use up what I had already purchased. And then
Right.
about 3 months into it, I was like, wait, and I was researching, because that was the whole thing. I came home, and searching everything I could find on this.
Down the rabbit hole. Hmm.
Absolutely. Hours and hours and hours. And then I was like, wait a second, what is it? Penny wise, pound foolish.
Right.
Like, I'm going to hold on to this hand lotion for the rest of the season because, I already spent the $5 on it or whatever it is. So, but that was
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that you can pinpoint the moment where, for me, I really feel like my eyes got opened up. Like, I was living
Mm,
this life very, happy in my life, but it was very busy, and I was on autopilot. And I feel like this was the
mm.
exact moment that it opened my eyes to something. And then I was able to start seeing other things and learning about other things. And it was almost like an on switch, which I think is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like this consciousness comes about, and you can't unsee it,
You can't unknow
and
it.
you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a great point, having two daughters and a son for you, that you were suddenly like, well, it's not just me, it's that I'm condoning my children using this.
Right.
And then it starts to feel like that conscious, consumerism is so much more important.
Hmm.
So let's say someone is like you and they've just been awakened to this idea, and they have a medicine cabinet, and their, shelves in their shower are full of products. Like, where do you start? You said you started with your shampoo and conditioner and
Hmm.
and did that. But what is that process like? How do you start with that?
Well, and I would, now going back, I might do it a little bit differently. I would think of an item that you put on your skin that is intended to stay on there, like a moisturizer or
Mm,
deodorant or a sunscreen, like not
mhm.
something that you're going to wash off right away. And
Mm.
that's probably where I would start right now. Or your cleaning supplies, because think about, you're breathing them in, right? As you're cleaning
Mhm.
on your hands, right? So I think that
Yeah.
would be the direction that I would go now, you know.
Yeah. I think about, like, when I used to clean my bathroom with like bleach and like all those harsh chemicals. I
Mhm.
felt horrible every time I cleaned. Like, I try to open the windows and stuff, but the
Open the window.
smell. Yeah, and it would
I used
just
to joke
like,
I used to joke that I was allergic to cleaning. It wasn't that I was
yeah,
allergic to
because you kind of
cleaning,
were.
it was the allergic to the bleach, right? You have to open up
Right.
all the windows, and you don't need,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing. Once you get into the research, you don't need to use such heavy duty industrial cleaners in your home.
I know.
Soap
I
and
know.
water works really well.
Soap and water works really well. Well,
Mhm.
what have we learned, everybody? We've learned that
Right,
washing our hands is like one of the best ways to prevent yourself from getting sick, from
right.
washing your hands after touching other surfaces, changing your clothes when you get
Mhm.
home from work. All of these small steps that have nothing to do with any kind of chemical or cleaning agent.
Right. Those are just very healthy daily tips to
Yeah,
follow.
totally.
Absolutely.
So you started with the shampoo and conditioner, you
Mhm.
replaced those, and then just continuously kept replacing things as you went?
As I went on, and then,
Mhm,
with the company that I had been introduced to, I realized I reached a point where I said, "Well, I'm buying more than you know what I mean?" Like, it was starting to get a little bit more expensive, so I remembered that the host of the party had said, "If you join the company, it would be a 30% discount." So I thought, "Well, I belong to Amazon Prime. I belong to Costco. Like, this isn't really all that different." And so that's what I did. And that's how it all started. But like, I hadn't been introduced to essential oils before this. Like, it was just that one opening, right? That when you then
mhm,
started talking to friends about, because that was the other thing. I never, ever, ever intended to sell anything. This was all simply for my family. And then you just
mhm.
get so excited about it. You start talking to your friends about it, and
Yes.
one of them started introducing me to essential oils, which I had never heard of before.
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
I'm trying to think the progression. And then I started, we are talking about hormones, and I got introduced to acupuncture. And this whole path of wellness that I often wonder, imagine if I had said no and stayed home that evening, right? Like,
Say
would I have?
yes to that glass of wine.
Yes.
That's a very pertinent and, like,
Right.
life-changing glass of wine that you had that night.
Yeah, I'm sure that other people don't have like such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Moment in time where they can pinpoint. But for me, it is just so clear.
Yeah. I really like that. And you know what, Mary? I think, MLMs can get a bad name. Like,
Hmm.
people are kind of like, oh, it's a pyramid scheme and stuff. But I'd like to just present, like, there's a different way of looking at this, that number one, you get a discount, which, let's be honest, when you're choosing to overhaul your whole personal care and your home care supplies, like, that can get a little costly. But, like, why not do it with the intent of, like you said, you weren't out there to sell anything, to help other women and
Hmm.
families solve some of these issues they didn't even know they had, kind of that bringing awareness, and be able to earn a little bit of an income to kind of, at the very least, cut back on how much you spend. Because especially when you get into essential oils, if you're getting
Yes.
really high quality essential oils, they can tend to get onto the expensive side. So we didn't really come here today to chat with each other about multi-level marketing, but I really think it's important to put that out there and to maybe just get a little more curious about it. I
Hmm.
know so many people involved in different companies, and if you're aligning yourself with a company for which the mission speaks to you, you're never trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes or sell them something they don't need.
Right.
So you can do it with good conscience, and it's like, I have some chocolate chip cookies. I find that they're really great for my
Yes.
family. I can help you get chocolate chip cookies. I can help you help other people get chocolate chip cookies and make a little money. And if you say it that way, you're like, either I want a chocolate chip cookie, or I'm like, no, thanks. And
Yeah.
it's not it doesn't have to be stressful. But anyway, that's just my little
I'm so
shameless
glad
plug.
you said that, because I feel exactly the same way. And I've never understood why they've gotten a bad rap, because I've never personally had a bad experience. And I'm trying to think, I think I've been with the company 7 years, and I think that's a testament. Like, people don't stay somewhere for 7 years if they don't believe in it.
Right. And I think it is, for this particular company that we're talking about,
Mhm.
and you can absolutely reach out to Mary and find out more about it. But um, the mission is completely aligned with what I feel is like my personal mission. It's about families. It's about, helping women. It's,
Mhm.
it was brought about to just replace a lot of these products out in the market and to bring some true information. So I think that's also really important. When you talked about that, those 16 ingredients to avoid, putting that information in the hands of people to be able to take it yourself and become a more intelligent consumer and be more aware. I think that is the mission versus like making people lots of money.
And there were some tricky things I found along the way because, again, I would still go to, we have CVS here, that's my local pharmacy. And, I would go to grab a deodorant for, one of my children. And I didn't realize they split the ingredient list. So it'll say active
Mm.
ingredient, right? And then
Mhm.
way down at the bottom, you see the inactive ingredients. And I wouldn't realize it until they've already opened it and used it a couple of times, those.
Mhm.
So part of swapping over to, I'm also, because from being so busy, I like the one-stop shopping. So I like that I can just get on my computer, I can order what I need to order in one spot, but I didn't run into any of those tricks.
Mhm.
You know, I'm trying to think. There was another one I just had in my head and it went out of my head, but things like that. And then I found out that there's an actual term called greenwashing.
Oh, yes.
Things
Let's
appear to
talk about
be
greenwashing.
right, all natural, or and then you find out that there are hidden ingredients. And can I say the F word? I don't know if I can say the F word on your show.
I mean, sure. We'll just put the little E on it when we put out the broadcast. It'll be
Yeah.
great. Go for
No,
it.
no, no. The new F word for me in the past 7 years has been the word fragrance. Fragrance is a legal
Yes.
loophole. It's a
Yes.
legal loophole. And I did once went again down that rabbit hole, and I don't remember which brand it was. So I won't even, say that, but it was a popular dishwashing soap. And if you go into it and you dig deep enough, there were 1,000 ingredients listed under fragrance, and gluten was one of them on a dishwashing soap where
Mhm.
you wash your dishes and then put food on it. So someone who has a gluten sensitivity, they like gluten should be listed on the label. So then
Yeah.
I would get mad. See, first you get interested and then you get
Right.
mad, right? When you find all these things out. And then you want to
It's
tell
part of the journey. Yeah. And then you pick up your soapbox and you're like, people have to
yes.
start listening. That I appreciate that so much because I can't even tell you how many times, you know, food products, you know, things can be labeled something that basically means gluten, like tocopherol acetate, which is in a lot of things. Turn over your
Mhm.
bottles and take a look. It's in a lot of things. And it can be derived from soy, it can be derived from gluten, so like you don't know where it's derived from. They don't have to tell us that. So one of the things that was really staggering to me was when I learned about the comparison between like how we are in this country versus how things are
Yes.
regulated in other countries. That I think in the United States, is it 12? Is that how many banned chemicals there are?
Yes. We are up to 12. When I started, it was 9.
We're up
So
to 12?
3
Okay.
more. Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
3
gross.
more in 7 years.
And like in the EU, for example, it's something like 1,000,
1,300 was the last I had read.
1,300. Okay. So
1,300.
1,300 versus 12. That to me is that whether, however you want to look at it, that to me becomes like I need to be the ingredient detective and knowing everything that's in the products that I'm using and not taking anything for granted. So
Mhm.
if it's an ingredient that isn't like, like very clearly,
Right.
okay, a food, a plant, that specific food or plant, if it's some sort of chemical derivative, what is it really?
And I think the biggest offender is it comes in the preservatives. I
Yep.
think that's because how does it sit on the shelf for as long as it does? Which was another appeal to just to go back to this company is that it's manufactured right here in the United States and it gets shipped directly to your house. I mean, our shipping times have always been really good. So within a week, say, there's not, and there's an expiration date on it. There's if you open it up, use within 6 months symbol on it. All of that was just so important to
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the products you're putting on your skin
me.
get
Hmm.
absorbed into your body, right? So we talked about that before with gluten. So do you want things that have no expiration date, or do you want things like food, like you want to eat more foods that have an expiration date, like real food rots, right? So
Right.
if it's made from real healthy plants, then it's not going to last forever, which, can be unfortunate for some people because they feel like, well, that's not cost effective. But here's another soapbox moment for me. You can go that route.
Mhm.
However, let's think about, like, what are you trading that savings for?
Yes.
Is it your health and well-being? Is it your longevity? Is it, having these chemicals, some of them are neurotoxic. Are they affecting, like you said, your endocrine system, your brain, So, yeah, I start to think like, what are you saving?
And sunscreen's is a really good example of
Mm,
that because that's been in the news. That's None of this was in the news when you and I first started
no.
covering this on our own, but you are seeing that things are, and sunscreen was a really, really big one,
Yeah,
you know, this summer.
absolutely. And you know what? I think that we've come far with. I don't know if the people who are listening or catching this in the replay on the video, there's a company called Environmental Working Group. It's ewg.org.
Hmm.
And you can go there. And it's free to go onto the website. You can find all products, anything you find on the shelf, anything in your cabinet, and you can get the breakdown of the product and what's in it. And it has a labeling in terms of like 1 to 10 level of toxicity. And it tells you what the ingredients are that have those toxic values. I got into that first with sunscreen. So, I mean, it's probably been like, like you said, like 7 years, like back a bit, just a few years ago, I made my own sunscreen. I didn't even know that was a thing.
You did. You made
I
your
did.
own.
From scratch. Yep.
See, and I have to say, I'm not is it DIY? Is that what it's
DIY.
called? I'm not a DIY. So for me, I needed a company that checked all the boxes, fast, easy to use, something I could trust. So to me, it was kismet that I got invited to this party for
Yeah.
real.
And I think whenever you can find a brand that you trust,
Hmm.
that is such a huge thing that you can then say, okay, well, now I know I'm going to get X, Y, and Z all from here and just have it shipped to my house.
Right.
Yeah. We're all feeling the convenience of those, that Amazon kind of a feel, right?
Well, and during the pandemic, it worked out very well to be able to have things delivered right to your house. That
Yes.
worked out very well.
Yes. Absolutely. So, what do you think your next steps are? That's what I want to know. So you've moved through these different levels of things. You mentioned the detoxifying with the products, going into essential oils, talked a little bit about acupuncture. So, like,
Mhm.
what is your next step in your own wellness
Well, we
company?
skipped one of my biggest steps. We just hadn't gotten to it yet. And that is I bought the Peloton bike. four,
Oh, nice.
3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'm on my 200th week streak of writing.
Wow.
And you're talking about, I'm a librarian. I love to sit down and read a book. I'm not athletic. I was never on any team. But that was the next step in my journey. I wanted to sweat out the toxins every day. I
Hmm.
wanted the opportunity to sweat it out. Movement is so important. I wanted to find something that suited me, suited my lifestyle. Again, I like to make things as easy as possible. And having this fitness platform in my living room, and I'm so grateful that I had it because, again, I got it in February of 2017. So
Mm,
everything was already in place when the world shut down and everything got so small.
right.
So, and then I'm not sure where the next. I'm hoping to do more outdoor activities. I was able to
Mhm.
retire last year.
Mhm.
So being home during the day when it's daylight in December is all new to me. As a teacher, you are literally on the go from the minute you pull into the parking lot to the minute you drive away from school. And then you're still always thinking
Yes.
about school,
Yes.
you know. And so to be given this gift of time that I haven't had, the kids have all, moved out there. My little one went away to school. So this is a whole new journey. And I'm very much looking forward to bringing more wellness into it. But I think being outdoors and nature is the next step.
Awesome. I love that. And I love that you brought the fitness piece, and we're really kind of creating this whole picture of what wellness is, which is my well-being is like at the heart of what I do, that
Mhm.
sense of well-being, like you said in the beginning, even like not getting enough sleep, working too much,
Yes.
burning yourself out, that now you sort of get to sit in this place where you can choose how you spend your hours in your day and really enhance your health and well-being so much more.
So I just feel very grateful. I'm
Yeah.
very, very big on gratitude. And I just feel grateful to be in this place right now because I know not everyone
Yeah.
has been fortunate enough to get here. So,
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with you. That piece of
mhm.
gratitude is so important. So we have a comment where, we're live
Oh,
streaming into my Facebook group. So we had a question, will we get to learn of this company that has the quality natural products? So Mary actually has a gift for everyone. I'm going to let her tell you about that. But in the show notes, and for those of you that are on Facebook, I'm going to put into the comments how you can connect with Mary about finding out more about these products that we're talking about. So Mary, go ahead, tell them what you have for them as a free gift.
well, I do. It's the gift that was given to me the night that I went to the party, and it is the handiest little pocket guide to harmful
Mm-hmm.
ingredients. And when you open it up, it lists all 16 ingredients to avoid. And this is the librarian in me that loves it, gives the explanation why
Yes.
with all the sources noted.
Yes.
I
Oh,
think,
reference is important.
right? I think if I had just been handed like a list of ingredients that night, I might not have, been drawn in the way that I was. But if you
Yes.
hand me a reference piece, with the sources,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Perfect.
that I went home. And then my poor husband, he stopped me. I think I got to the kitchen, the downstairs bathroom, and the upstairs bathroom where he stopped. The garbage bag's getting bigger and bigger.
Right. He's like, oh my gosh, what is this going to cost us?
That's exactly what he was thinking.
We may or may not have had that experience in my house, but it's really interesting because we're a few years into this journey, and so
Mhm.
we've been using like making our own cleaning products or using like cleaner cleaning products. So we're finding if we have something different or we go someplace where they're using strong cleaners, we're all like, oh, that's just like the smell is so strong.
Right? Try walking through the mall to go shopping. this time, which I don't, I'm not a mall person, but
And I don't really, I'm an online shopper
yes, but if
or
you
I'm
do
small business shopping.
the different sense, I remembered what I had forgotten a few
Oh,
minutes back.
please bring it back.
And that was that I noticed the money I was saving by not going to CVS and Target and those other stores.
Mm.
Because when you go in to get one item, you walk out with, for me, it was always $100 at the cash register
Oh, for sure.
at things
Incidental
I wasn't
shopping.
intending. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, at least that was what I told my husband as part of my rationale for all this. But it really is true. For me, it eliminated going to some of the other stores.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I personally, it's so much easier for me to get those things in the mail and replace them
Mhm.
when I need to. And, I'm with you. Like it has just made a huge difference in how I feel. And also, I think it's empowering. Like, one, to kind of look at your health and taking control of your health and well-being in that way. And then also empowering in terms of, like, I can decide where and how I spend my money and whose pockets I
Yes.
intend to line.
Yes.
So if I'm, purchasing products and Mary is my representative, I'm helping Mary,
Hmm.
and I'm helping a company who is supporting, women in growing their own home businesses, which, let's be honest, so many people have thrived on in the past year and a half or so.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's making me think, like, this other aha, like getting into that kind of, like, very conscious consumerism. It made me think, well, and what about the other things I purchase? Like, if I'm purchasing gifts for people,
Hmm.
like, I shopped small business Saturday in my town, in the little shops in my town, and, found like a really cute place where they make their own candles, and, they have plants. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you said, like, if I hadn't started this whole journey, like, how would I have had that access or that interest, or, dive down the rabbit hole? And then you realize there's all these diverted tunnels, and you're like, oh, I got to go on all these tunnels.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
very exciting, though. I found it all to be very exciting. So hopefully we've sparked someone's interest in.
Yeah. And I think it can also be, like you said, it doesn't have to be cleaning out every single cabinet in your house and going shopping, because, let's be honest, that can be very overwhelming too. And you
Yes.
don't even know if you like them. Like, it might not be the smell that you like. You might have to,
Right.
pick something different. But I would say, like, the top products, like you said, like the things that are going on your skin, the lotions, especially
Mhm.
deodorant, nobody should be using antiperspirant anymore.
No
Um,
one.
nobody, nobody, because you don't need it, number one.
Mhm.
And having not used antiperspirant for a very long time now, the deodorant that I use is all natural.
Mhm.
And I really, honestly, I don't really sweat like I used to sweat when I wore antiperspirant.
Because your body is detoxing the ingredients that are in the antiperspirant.
Mhm.
It does, there's a little adjustment period. I think that's the hardest one for people to switch to. But
Yes.
if you can just make it through like that first week or so,
Yeah.
it it really, and I'm telling you, I ride a Peloton bike. Like, we sweat buckets when we're on that. And you don't smell. You sweat, you're not smelling.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
know.
when you stop the other ingredients that are absorbed into your body, right? So then your body has to detoxify it. When you eliminate that, so you're not getting the toxins from the shampoo or the conditioner or the lotion, the deodorant, right? It makes you less smelly because you're not introducing those things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a huge lifestyle shift, but I'm so glad that we could talk about it, because I think, maybe just one more person can be sparked and interested in a more conscious consumer, and, you know, think about what it is that we're purchasing, who we're supporting, and how we're really maintaining our health with it.
Yes.
So in the show notes will be all the ways that you can connect with Mary. And especially if you're interested in finding out more about the natural products that she supports and uses. And any other questions you have, please feel free to throw into the comments, and Mary and I will hop on Facebook and answer any of them. Mary, you've been an awesome guest. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome. So you've been enjoying the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast, Candid Conversations for the Curious. If you found value in this podcast, please follow, like, and share. And if you have a moment to spare, go ahead and give us a review. If you'd like to know more about me, head over to beingwellwithkelly.com. Be well and follow your curiosity. You never know where it may lead.